Hello, you're watching New Vision TV News. I am Ruth Inasaj and we're coming to you from the New Vision newsroom. Here is the news around Uganda. We start from Kalangala district where the Chabazinga of Busoga, William Gavlan Adiope IV, has rallied his subjects to start palm growing in Busoga region so that they can increase on their household incomes. Now the Chabazinga made the call after his guided tour in Kalangala district over the weekend, where he showed his willingness to support palm oil growing. Now Gavla toured Bwendera and Beta palm plantations under the stewardship of Salidine Damanik, the general manager of Oil Palm Uganda Limited. Let's move to Mbale district where a total of 35 babies with neurosurgical complications last week got free surgery. The conditions included 20 cases of hydrocephalus, 8 cases of spina bifida, 3 cases of tumor, 2 cases of dermoiditis, which is a swelling on the forehead, and 2 cases of brain tumor. The surgeries were conducted at Cure Hospital based in Mbale district by a visiting neurosurgeon from Newcastle in Austria, Dr. John Christie, together with the medical director of Cure Hospital, Dr. Peter Senyonga, the assistant medical director, Dr. Justin Onen, Dr. Emmanuel Wugoye, and medical students from Busitema University. The one-week neurosurgical camp was organized by Rotary Kampala Muyenga Breeze in partnership with Cure Hospital and sponsored by Orient Bank. News coming in from the West Nile. The Bishop of Madi and West Nile Diocese Charles Collins Adaku showcased a full lorry bought worth 285 million shillings by Christians. Now the full lorry, registration number UAF 192A, was commissioned at the Diocese headquarters in Mvura Emmanuel Cathedral on Palm Sunday. Bishop Adaku says the truck will be used to transfer clergy within the diocese to reduce on costs. His prayer was that the lorry serves its purpose in fulfillment of the mission of the church on transfer of the clergy. News coming in from Lira district. Residents of Ba and Ogoe sub-counties have advised the government to drill more boreholes in the villages to reduce shortage of safe and clean water. They say the population is shooting up, and each borehole drill in the previous financial years is being used by over 300 people. According to the 2014 population housing census, Ba and Ogure have 90,873 people. Lemo Ton Robert, the LC3 chairperson of Ba, said with a prolonged dry spell, several shallow wells dried up and the only water points survived are deep wells and few boreholes. In Buyende district, a multi-million toilet facility has been abandoned at Buyende Central Market in Buyende town since its construction 4 years ago due to lack of water. Robert Zibasanga, the Buyende district chairperson, says when Buyende Trading Center was elevated to a town council status, the Central Market had to have facilities such as toilets. Unfortunately, the toilet does not have running water, something that can lead to a hygiene mess if used. Now the premises have been closed since. Let's go to Iganga district where the Ugandan made car, the Kura EVS, is still on tour across the country. On Monday, it excited residents of Iganga municipality as it snacked into the town. By midday, residents left their duty stations to gaze at the locally manufactured automatic sedan moving along Iganga streets. Several residents took advantage of the stopover at CMS Trading Center to hurriedly pose for photos while standing next to the car. Salim Kakare, a mechanic along Kaliru Road, said there was need for comprehensive study of the car companies to determine if it could be repaired from local garages. Let's close the bulletin from Moroto district where Kura leaders at Kobebe Dam grazing area in Moroto are finding it hard to handle the ongoing conflicts among head clans over pasture and water. Now the stick fights have been ranging on for months as herders scramble drilling water at Kobebe, the second largest dam in Karamoja. The most recent was between Nyakwa and Njikimata clans from Turkana who clashed at Kobebe Dam on the weekend. Some few women and men were injured before the host Karamoja Peace Committee members intervened to stop the clash that was turning extremely violent. That is it for the news around Uganda. Let us take a look at the news around East Africa and around the world with Lynn Komjisha.
You're watching New Vision TV. My name is Lynn Komjisha and this is news around East Africa. We start off with Rwanda. 4 people have been killed and 2 others critically injured by a mine collapse in Rwanda. The 6 miners were going on about their daily work when the tragedy happened at Mageragere mining site in Nyarugenge district. May their souls rest in peace. From Kenya, the Kenya Film Classification Board has banned from airplay a song dubbed Taka Taka by Alvin aka Alvindo, produced by Fast Cash Music Group. According to the authorities, the song is deemed offensive to women. News from Tanzania. Retirees in Tanzania all smiles after government paid 888 billion Tanzanian shillings to them until February the 28th this year. The Tanzanian government further promised to pay all dues to the pensioners. In South Sudan authorities have clarified that the country's airspace remained open and functional, contrary to reports that it was affected by the situation in neighboring Sudan. Sudan closed its airspace and all borders last week after long-serving President Omar al-Bashir was forced to resign under pressure from anti-government protests. In Uganda, residents of Oyam district are mourning the death of 2 people who were killed by stray elephants over the weekend. Human-wildlife conflict is a big problem in the area, and the Uganda Wildlife Authority is working round the clock to secure the lives of these people and others in the area. Away from East Africa, we take a look at what's making headlines around the world. Start off with Sudan, with the continuing developments there. The African Union Peace and Security Council has given Sudan's military government 2 weeks to hand over power to civilians, or else the country's membership to the AU will be suspended. But the military government says it will hold power for 2 years before organizing elections. In Washington, President Donald Trump and his Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Monday brushed aside North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's demand for Washington to show more flexibility in nuclear talks by end of year, with Pompeo saying Kim should keep his promise to give up his nuclear weapons before then. Now asked about Kim's statement last week that he was only interested in meeting Trump again if the United States came with the right attitude, Pompeo told reporters that the president was determined to move forward diplomatically. In London, stock markets inched higher on Tuesday as reassuring data about the health of China's economy helped investors shrug off disappointing bank earnings in the United States, while volatility in European markets took another leg lower. European shares followed their Asian counterparts and opened marginally higher. We continue to follow developments in Libya. Now, the Eastern Libyan commander Haftar Khalifa tried to stage a coup by issuing an arrest warrant for Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj. UN envoy Ghassan Salem said on Monday, with Libya's top rivals locked in military confrontation over the capital, Tripoli. Haftar, 75-year-old former general in the late dictator Muammar Gaddafi's army, has been building up troop numbers and intensifying airstrikes in a campaign he's selling as necessary to restore order and eradicate jihadists. The latest news coming in from France indicate that hundreds of millions of euros have been pledged to help rebuild Notre Dame after a devastating fire partially destroyed the French cathedral. The fire, declared fully extinguished some 15 hours after it began, ravaged the 850-year-old building's roof and caused its spire to collapse. But firefighters who worked through the night managed to save the Paris landmark's main stone structure, including its 2 towers. The cause of the fire is still not known. And that's all we had for you around East Africa and around the world. I leave you with Ruth Nastaje taking a look at what's in today's pullout. Mwalimu.
You should be warming up for tomorrow, Wednesday, where I'll give you the Mwalimu Pullout, everything about education. What to expect from the Mwalimu Pullout, we see raising a talented child in Uganda's school system. And also government, teachers and parents should work together to improve education. Much more is in the Mwalimu Pullout. We also have the newspapers in education Pullout, which says parental care, love can make children with disabilities excel. Don't miss out tomorrow in your copy of the New Vision. However, from the copy of the New Vision that comes out on Wednesday, let's take a look at some sports news. Now, former Uganda Cranes coach Mitchell believes that Uganda can go past the round of 16 in this year's AFCON finals that will be held in Egypt from June 19th to July 19th. He revealed this shortly after Sikafa Giants were grouped in Group A along the hosts Egypt, neighbors DR Congo and Zimbabwe on Friday. Other draws held in Egypt. Back home, Acholi Province extended their lead in Group C in the FUFA drum competition. They defeated home side Bunyoro 2-1 to move 6 points from 2 games. Tito Kello, who currently leads the scoring chart with 3 goals, notched a brass for Acholi, while Jasper Ahewa from Mbara City had the consolation for Bunyoro, but the man of the match performances produced by Acholi goalkeeper Derek Ochan saw Acholi walk away with maximum points. The competition that is played between 16 provinces of Uganda is aimed at taking the game to the masses, and its theme is celebrating the ancestry. Uganda Cubs needs not less than 4 points in their last 2 games of the group stages to make it to the 2019 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Brazil. This follows their 1-0 defeat to Angola in their opening game on Sunday. Cubs are currently third in Group A with no point, just like host Tanzania, 3 points behind table leaders and second place Nigeria and Angola. However, from sports news, let us take a look at our daily Pearl of Africa series, and today it is Queen Elizabeth National Park. Now, the journey to Queen Elizabeth National Park is about 6 to 7 hours by road from Kampala, Uganda's capital city. This means you have to prepare to experience the adventure of the road as you warm up for the adventure. Are you ready? Let's go. A warm reception awaits at the main entrance of Queen Elizabeth National Park, with 2 horns built just outside the gate. In the southwestern region of Uganda is where the biggest national park lies. It covers 4 districts, which are Kasese, Kamwenge, Rubirizi and Rukungiri. This national park occupies an estimated 1,978 square kilometers. The park extends from Lake George in the northeast to Lake Edward in the southwest and includes the Kazinga Channel connecting the 2 lakes. This explains its establishment. In 1952, Queen Elizabeth was established as Kazinga National Park, but 2 years later it was renamed to commemorate the visit of Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of England. Since then, Queen Elizabeth National Park has become the most visited park in Uganda. It comprises of the most popular savanna reserve and the widest variety of wildlife. Getting closer to the animals requires the use of game drives. The first encounter through the park is with these antelopes. These bring the feel of the national park as you see them running through the woods. As you enjoy the antelopes, a variety of habitats in the park include savanna, forests, wetlands, and lakes that provide a setting of an extensive range of large mammals and primates. And many more mammals you could not miss out to see, since Queen Elizabeth is home to 95 species of mammals and over 500 species of birds. Some of these birds enjoy resting on the trees on the shores of the lake. For the hippopotamus, they find comfort in water. An amazing number of hippos inhabit the Kazinga Channel, on which daily boat trips are conducted. Queen Elizabeth National Park boasts of crocodiles, elephants, leopards, lions, and chimpanzees. Most lions are found in Ishasha sector. This park is also famous for its volcanic features, including volcanic cones and deep craters, many with crater lakes such as Katwe craters, from which salt is extracted. Additional scenic points are the Kazinga Channel between Lake George and Lake Edward. Restaurants to offer the best meals are built right next to these lakes to complement your visit. But also, if you want to have those meals in the woods, outside catering within the park is offered just to make your adventure worthwhile. The climax of such adventures is at the lodges, where you spend a night, but before you say goodnight, a warm and calm evening is accompanied by this beautiful sunset. For more Pearl of Africa series, visit our website, which is newvision.ca.ug/Pearl of Africa. A newspaper, the Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures. Grab your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa series. Now let's speak business in the Handshake with Lynn Komjisha.
Well, hello there. This is the Handshake here, New Vision TV. I'm Lynn Komjisha. With me is Paul Busharizi. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Paul, recently the President commissioned the Soroti Fruit Factory. It's estimated to have cost about 10 million. No, 10. It's a 10 million only.
Dollars.
Thank you. I was wondering, 10 million. How did I come to that?
Dollars.
Yes. So now it's jointly owned by government and the Uganda Development Corporation. What does this mean, Paul? Why did they pick on Soroti? Are there other places?
Yeah, well, I think it's a pilot project. Eastern Uganda, Teso area is supposed to be really a fruit. It's well endowed with fruit trees and things. So I think the calculation is that if we can get a factory there that processes this fruit, we can help the local economies.
Just that?
Yes, absolutely. But why else do you do things to help
yes,
the people?
Of course. You said it is a pilot project.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, if it works, I imagine if it works in Soroti, they can go and try it elsewhere. I understand there's plans for another one in Yumbe, that's, I think, West Nile area, and any other places in the country that have fruit that can be, that are produced in industrial quantities that can be processed.
Are we looking at only fruits?
Well, look, I mean, one of the things, it's obvious, Uganda is an agricultural country.
Yes.
More because up to 80% of our people derive a livelihood from agriculture. So it makes sense that if you're going to, for example, spread the growth we've enjoyed for so many years, you need to also be where the people are, and agriculture is where it is. So who knows the future? It's fruits in eastern Uganda. It can be obshera in western Uganda. It can be banana juice in Bushenyi, Buganda. It can be what can't you do in this country that's agricultural? It can be anything. Yeah, and we haven't even begun to tap our potential as an agricultural country.
So this is how they're starting to
it's one. Although if you're talking about processing and pilots, who knows? Maybe the first pilot processing of agricultural produce in Uganda was in Western Uganda with the milk all the milk plants they sent there. They've pushed up our milk production.
Yeah.
I read a report where I think this year or next year we will be the largest exporter of dairy products in the whole continent. So it's happening already.
How do we tap into it? To say I'm in Soroti, how do I?
Well, I would imagine, I think, I'm hoping, I don't know the details, but I'd imagine the promoters of this factory would have taught the farmers around there how to grow better strains of fruit, probably even provided seedlings. So I mean, if you're tapping in, you probably be looking for somebody who is either giving away seedlings free from the factory or selling them at a low price. And learn how to grow these plants to the specifications that the company requires. Because the company is not going to take all the mangoes or all the oranges from Soroti. Some just don't meet its specifications. So, you know, that's what I would be looking for right now.
Right. If say that to put up others around the country, what are the implications?
No, I mean, it's a good... if they work, first of all, they have, it's not automatic that they're going to work. So assuming they work, one thing is you can expect farmers to get better prices, because right now, of course, farmers are selling to middlemen. So with a factory near you, you actually cut out the middleman. So hopefully you get a better price. That's one thing. It'll give them incentive to even grow more, because this factory, for example, I think it can do 129,000 tons in a year. That's a lot of fruit it can process. So you can imagine, with the market now, a ready market, people will be incentivized to grow more. The factory will offer some direct employment in the factory. We expect that in selling the juices, it will offer some more indirect employment to agents and retailers and all that kind of business.
And with the current unemployment in the country.
Yes. So yeah, it's important. One, of course, as I said, the farmers get better prices. They probably will produce more because they have a ready market. It'll provide indirect employment, but also the value addition means now, for example, I mean, the shelf life of a packet of juice from that company might now be like a month or so. I'm just estimating. That means you can sell it even far and wide. You can export it, for example, so you can get better value. It can bring in more foreign exchange into the country. So it's potentially as a start, and hopefully it's successful. It can lay the ground for a lot of stuff after.
That's very impressive. I hope we can see more of these. Well,
first we can hope it succeeds, then we hope we can get more.
Paul, I expect it to work. If they're trying to help the
but it's not automatic.
I know it's not automatic, but it ought to work.
It ought to, but it's not automatic.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. In our special report today, now did you know that if all the coffins required to bury the people killed in more crashes on Uganda's roads were laid on the ground, they would cover a distance of 7 kilometers? That is because some 10 people are killed daily on the road, mostly due to defective vehicles and reckless driving. New Vision TV looks more closely at the carnage that claims a horrendous number of lives. According to a United Nations report of 2018, more than 3,000 people were killed. In another report, 10,000 injured in 13,244 road accidents in 2017. That is according to the annual Traffic and Road Safety Report released last year. Nearly half of the dead were pedestrians and 918 were motorcyclists. Chris Kaganzi, a resident of Ntinda, a Kampala suburb, is one of the thousands who lost their dear ones to road crashes in 2017. He lost his wife and child as he was driving from Jinja to Kampala, Uganda. With Kaganzi were 3 adults and 2 children aged 3 and 4 months, and one of them was of his friend, who was also his best man on his wedding in 2016. Initially, Kaganzi and his family had had a good day and indeed enjoyed driving on the road with his family, but along the way, the dreadful happened.
I was driving from Jinja, heading to Kampala, and we were having a good journey, normal drive, going back home, and you're not expecting anything to go wrong. You think you have everything under control. Yeah, so ahead of me were a couple of course, vehicles because it was steady traffic flow. You can imagine you have a vehicle like 50 meters ahead of you, and there's enough space that in case someone overtakes, they can come and take the place ahead of you. Yeah, so I was driving about 60, 70 kilometers per hour. Yeah, so this other side of the vehicles coming from Kampala, it was almost empty. So a truck was coming from the opposite direction. I think it carried some merchandise. Yeah, so somehow this guy found his way in our lane. So now what was happening to him, I don't know.
Kaganzi had his seatbelt fastened, but the rest of the people in the car were not in any way protected from the accident that shook since their belts were not on. Fiona Kaganzi, his wife, died on the spot, and the rest of the victims sustained serious injuries.
When the accident happens and you are at 70, you know what happens, you know. So because, okay, me, I had a belt on, so I was more restrained, but these people had to fly from their seats and they had to knock on anything that was before them. So for my wife, she hit on the dashboard, of course, and the baby. So you can imagine her weight and the baby. So they hit the dashboard. But I think she tried in her mind, you know, mothers have those reflex actions. She tried to save the baby. So for her, she hit the dashboard, but the baby, okay, fell where you'd find your feet. Yeah, so the baby fell there. But I think before he went in there, he must have also banged the dashboard somehow. Yeah, so these people in the back seat were almost like sleepy. So after the accident, the car was just silent. And it was me yelling on top of my voice. This vehicle had almost deformed because the steering wheel was very close to me. But of course I did not reach it because somehow the belt tightens in the event of a crash. Yeah, so the next thing is people gathering, and the traffic now is gathered already, collected, and many people surrounding. And you can imagine those people, about 80%, they want to carry whatever they can find, but also they are good people who want to help. Yeah, so they had to break the doors and remove these people. And of course me, they had to cut me out because the car was more pressed towards me.
Later, people gathered and cut the victims out of the completely deformed car and then drove them to Kaolo Hospital, where they received only first aid. Kaganzi was lucky that he got someone who took care of him during the time when his family members had not yet come.
Yeah, so this boy was not dead. That one I can't tell you because the pulse, the breathing was there, but someone unconscious, probably in deep pain. You would expect a child to be yelling, but yeah, so quickly people gathered, and there were some boarders there. Of course, you know, now the vehicles are already packed, no help, you know, so boarders, you can imagine. They offered to help. That was the only help that was there, and my best man jumps on a border with the two babies. I'm not talking about the condition of his daughter because I didn't check. Yes, then also the wife, his wife and the maid, they had very serious cuts. The wife had a very deep cut on the forehead, and the maid had a broken jaw. She lost some teeth. So that was the situation. But me, I could move, although people were trying to hold me, but of course other people had different interests. They were trying to touch in my pockets and stuff like that. So I stayed there desperate to see my wife come back, but she couldn't. So blood started oozing also out of me because of the cut. So people just practically carried me away from there, and they put me on a border also. And they said, you have to go because we don't know the extent of your damage, of your injury. Yeah, so we were on a border and we went to Rugazi Hospital, Kaolo. Yeah. So I left my wife by the roadside. Yeah, so yeah, that's the incident.
Road crashes can actually be avoided, especially if people do not cross the roads abruptly. This means that one has to look from side to side before they cross so that they are not knocked down.
Make sure we have walkways which are a bit raised compared to the motorway. We have flyovers in the towns and other places to avoid people crossing in the motorway. And also, we should also look at the border riders, how they need training. They also need to know how to ride. I mean, they also need to know the road signs. And other drivers in other vehicles must also respect these border riders or motorcyclists.
In Uganda, pedestrians remain the most vulnerable road users, constituting 40% of roadkill. In 2016, 1,354 pedestrians lost their lives, some of them being children knocked down on their way to school.
The biggest number of people category are pedestrians. Mainly, these accidents actually happen in built-up areas. And pedestrians, I mean those people who walk on foot, are the biggest casualty. Then followed by border, either riders, but the borders have either passengers or riders. Those are the biggest categories. And if our people down there, they must know that all people who die out of accidents, all categories, even if they are added, they can't add up to the number of pedestrians who are killed.
However, motorcycle crashes account for the highest number of victims, as people killed in motorcycle accidents between 2011 and 2016 doubled from 570 to 1,170. In 2015, 5,543 riders were seriously injured.
If we have the right drivers trained, if we have vehicles which are in good mechanical conditions, if the road designs, wherever the crashes take place, are redressed and the signage put in place, and if all Ugandans, whether you have a vehicle or not, whether you are dealing in scrap or not, know that actually the road furniture is a property of everyone. If you feel that you cannot be involved in an accident, your son can, your relative may, any other person close to you may get involved in an accident. So if we, first of all, you see there are three things. Enforcement, police does what it is supposed to do. Engineering, the black spots on roads are done, and actually the signage are put. And we, the people, also make sure that that road signage or furniture remains there to guide motorists. Then the education, sensitization, National Road Safety Council, all other things. People are also sensitized. Some people don't know. For example, somebody who goes to vandalize a road furniture may not know that he or she is doing the service to other people. He thinks he's making money, but your daughter or your son or your relative, any relative of yours, or any of the business partner may be a victim by dying at that very spot where you have removed a signage or any road furniture just because you want to go and get some little coins in scrap.
Yes, so you have the knowledge about how these road crashes and accidents can be avoided. Why haven't you come up to enlighten people about it? I mean, to educate the masses and to let them know of what they should do, especially the border men?
We do it several times. Actually, we have a program as police. We had a program right from the beginning of this year. You see, traffic police has levels. We are now at headquarters. We have traffic police at regional level, and we have an in charge. They are called an RTO or regional traffic officer. Then we have traffic police at the district level. Those are the DTO or district traffic officers. They have programs. They have been mobilizing borders, having meetings with them, sensitizing them, and police they have also incorporated the IOVs and trained several of them to ensure that at least they know the basics on the road and they get driving permits so that they become responsible road users like any other person. But there's still one thing, the attitude. The attitude in motorists, the attitude in some pedestrians that I must get there first. I must make money. For example, any motorcycle rider, any border rider, any motorcyclist who knows how to ride a motorcycle, you know very much that if I load more than one passenger on a motorcycle, I will change my position from the seat and go to sit near the tank. And you can't maneuver a motorcycle properly if you are seated far from the center.
Parents are advised not to give their children to border cyclists, especially those below 5 years.
Also, as parents, stop giving your children who are going to school to one motorcycle and you find 3 behind, 1 in front, very early in the morning.
Charles Sebablinda, the spokesperson Road Traffic Directorate, says there is need to carry out sensitization by all stakeholders in the country.
Whether you have a vehicle or not, whether you are dealing in scrap or not, know that actually the road furniture is a property of everyone. If you feel that you cannot be involved in an accident, your son can, your relative may, any other person close to you may get involved in an accident. So first of all, you see there are 3 things. Enforcement, police does what it is supposed to do.
Uganda loses 3% of her GDP to road accidents annually, especially if it is a prominent business person.
3% of the GDP is lost. 3% of our GDP. GDP, that's our gross domestic product. So 3% is lost. If only, when you look at that money, I think this is billions of money.
According to the 2018 Global Status Report on Road Safety released by the World Health Organization, Uganda loses 3,503 people to road crashes. Rwanda loses 593 lives. Kenya loses 2,965 lives to road crashes. Tanzania loses 3,256 lives. Southeast Sudan loses 130 people. And Burundi loses 112 lives to road crashes annually. This report was compiled by Nora Mutasi for New Vision TV. Thank you for watching. That is all we had for you. Remember, you can get more news updates and other programs here on New Vision TV by visiting our website, which is newvision.co.ug/video. You can also follow us on social media. Facebook is The New Vision, Twitter is @NewVisionWire, Instagram is @NewVisionWire, and our YouTube channel is New Vision TV. Catch up with me on my Twitter handle. I am Rothy, the voice. Thank you for watching.